We find our lessons where we can, however unlikely, perhaps in the Hamas terrorist tunnels. The raping terrorists, one of them, comes into contact with his, inner child? Well, he would have been raised in kindergartens and Sunday school, well, make that Friday schools, where the teaching tales told were about killing Jews. I remember from when I was 6, Zacchaeus was a very little man was he. He climbed up into a sycamore tree to see what he could see. Zacchaeus, you come. And it went on. Jesus went to his house. Well, our hypothetical transformed terrorist would have sung a song of a tree that called out for the beheading of the Jew that was hiding behind it. Oh well, different strokes. I hold out this foolish, fond hope of reclaiming humanity because such a thing is not entirely without precedence. So, dear friends, draw near to the warm glow of our shared revealing screens and attend to my tale. Once upon a time, long, long ago, why, you were just a child. Some monsters came creeping and lurching out of their tunnels and attacked women and children at a shopping mall. Yeah, well, I'll shift voices now. Precisely 10 years ago, masked Islamist terrorists, but I repeat myself, took over a shopping center in Nairobi, Kenya. These masked heroes of Allah let the Muslims go, and of course kept and killed the Westerners, nearly 200 wounded, 67 killed. All these guns, always killing people. But to be fair, it's not the guns that kill, it's the bullets. Or do I mean gunpowder? But really, it's insufficiently bulletproof skin that gets people killed, and necks that are easy to chop, too easy. Well, it's just more of the same, one after the other. If we edit out the boring bits in the news, move along, nothing to see here, another mall, more terror, big deal. It's just the human comedy. But wait. No, it seems I'm wrong. Something unusual did indeed happen. During that African time of evil and dull terror, one of the monsters shot a woman, Englishwoman, in front of the eyes of her 6-year-old daughter and 4-year-old son. Well, that's nothing unusual. What's unusual is what followed. The little boy stepped in front of his fallen mother and his sister, and he faced the gun-toting Islamist terrorist, and he said, "You're a bad man, leave us alone." The way a very little boy would say it. You're a bad man, leave us alone. This, in itself, makes my heart swell with pain and with love, and the Muslim Islamist terrorist must, for that moment, have seen the child before him. And the terrorist follower of Mohammed then said to the little English boy, "Please forgive me." That's not the punchline. "Please forgive me. We are not monsters." And then the Islamist terrorist gave the child a Mars bar and allowed the family, the wounded mother too, to get away from her hostage-taking, terrorist-murdering Muslim captors. The Muslim terrorist instructed the mother that she must convert to Islam, which, of course, the American media informs us, is the religion of peace. What lessons shall we learn from this? Well, it might be that there is hardly any human heart so totally depraved that it cannot respond humanly to a child's purity. I expect it hardly ever happens that monsters act human. It is permissible and therefore common in the Muslim East to sodomize children, per the Islamist Ayatollah Khomeini in his Little Green Book. I looked this up some years ago, and it's not an urban legend, a desert legend. It's a fact. But humanity, it happened here, a faint stirring of humanity in the corrupt heart of a Muslim monster. We must be deeply thankful for such a thing, so rich in meaning. Here's a picture of the little boy and his sister. And the Mars bar, I think. Yes, Mars bar. 2, in fact. Windfall. 1 for the sister? How thoughtful. I wonder if they were ever eaten. Maybe sold them on eBay. Gave them to the Smithsonian or the UN, the Black Museum. Probably eaten, kids being kids. I wonder if a Mars bar has enough tensile strength to pull an Islamist Muslim terrorist out of the lake of fire in hell. A lifeline. The media did not report that it was two Mars bars. Is this breaking news after a decade? You heard it here first. Typical Western anti-Islam bias at work, no doubt. We'll just let it go unnoticed, that anonymous dead body in the center of the frame, perhaps, 5 feet away from the children? Is that blood on the little boy's shirt? I love New York, too. The Ayatollah, mentioned by me just a few short seconds ago, he famously said the United States was Shaytân-e Bozorg, pardon my accent, the great Satan. Israel is the little Satan. It is not Satans, big or small, that we have to concern ourselves with. It's not guns either. It's individual people. Nowadays, disproportionately, Muslim Islamist terrorists, Hamas, most currently, but that's just the detail. People, I say, because the only monsters that there are people. These Islamist Muslim monsters, these ones, were American in Nairobi. 3 of them, Somali Minnesotans, American-born, teenagers, radicalized somehow and given airfare. Maybe they saved up from their paper route money or their drug dealer money or by selling their food stamps for under-the-counter cash or a GoFundMe page. I have to wonder if anyone who needs to think of themselves as hyphenated American is any kind of American at all. I will accept constitutional American, opposed to those Satan American teens who acted out in that African mall, shoplifting Mars bars and littering and whatnot, or just this week where a teacher had to barricade herself from a pro-Palestinian student, high school student mob. It's just all too stupid for words. We're in a concentration camp. We find a daisy growing out of a dunghill, and we find the hope to continue on for a while longer. For a moment, a monster was not a monster. He remembered the American part of his hyphenated identity, terrorist American. Shall we think of it as evolution? What about the moments that follow? Life is not a daisy chain. No one can say what life is. It's too stupid for words. Islam is just Islam, like America is just America. It does not have to be controlled by scum. That little 4-year-old boy had perfect communication. He identified the problem and gave the solution. You are a bad man. Let us leave.